Yo, everyone, thank you for joining us again. Listen, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so that you get notifications every time I go live. This is, I think, an important live. I'm not going to be on here very long, but I think it's an important one because I've been getting, especially after the last few videos that I've posted, I got a lot of comments. I'm assuming from actually mostly from guys living in I think the African continent. Go and check out some of the comments that I got underneath my last 2 or 3 videos, right? Half of them were positive, but half of them were actually saying, oh, you know, Kenyan women are this, Kenyan women are bad, blah, 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 blah. Mostly from guys, I think, living on the African continent. Mostly from, I would say, a lot of guys living in Kenya. Right, and probably a lot of Kenyan men, actually, right? And some other men as well. But listen, I totally understand that their point is that, well, a lot of you guys haven't been there, you know, you don't know what it's like living there, you don't know what the women are like, blah, 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 blah. Listen, we know what it's like living in the West. We know what it's like living in the West. And so, honestly, in terms of racism that we experienced growing up living in the West, in terms of the honest to God fact that, you know, if you get married in the West, there's a good chance as a black guy that you're going to be in a divorce court and you're going to be seeing your kids every other weekend and half the holidays. Yeah. And it's a known fact that black men in the UK experience higher rates of mental ill health than white people in the UK. Yeah. And in fact, black people on the African continent and black people in the Caribbean, and these are facts, black people in the Caribbean experience the same rates of mental ill health as white people do in the UK. We, black people in the UK, experience higher rates of mental ill health. Fact, that's a fact. And our relationships don't last. So when you put all that to, I'm generalizing, but it's generally true for black men living in the UK. Basically, we're not allowed to see our kids. We're just not. And our kids do not live under our roofs, not because we don't want that to happen. It's just the nature of living for us as black men living in the West. So anyway, a lot of the comments were like, you know, really quite negative. But what they don't understand is that for us, black men living in the West, men in general living in the West, but I'm talking about black men, right? We've got nothing to lose but to try. We've got nothing to lose. My wife, I've got a decent one. My wife compares to the woman that you're going to see in this video. She's downstairs right now, right? And I would do anything for her because she's priceless. But I know for a fact she's rare. And honestly, I would have loved if I'd met her years ago, honestly. And the truth is, if I hadn't have met her when I did, I wouldn't be living in the UK. I would be God knows where. Maybe somewhere on the African continent, maybe somewhere else. I'm not sure. But I wouldn't be here because there's nothing here. There's nothing here. You can't have, in my opinion, a family for life. Most of us my age cannot have a family for life living in the UK. That's just a fact. And that is something, because I was actually looking for the comment, but I couldn't find him anyway. But I suppose it doesn't really matter. But and that's what sparked me wanting to do this live. It's the whole thing about answering some of the comments that I've been getting under the last few videos. Go and check out the comments. Go and read them, right? But I wanted to do this live not as a rebuttal to the negative comments necessarily, but really to encourage black men living in the West, black men living in the UK in particular, right? That you don't have to accept the scraps of life. When I say the scraps of life, I'm talking about the scraps of relationships, right? You don't have to accept seeing your children every other weekend and half the holidays, which is standard contact time in the West, generally speaking, and in the UK. You don't have to accept being a second-class citizen. You don't. Because you've got the whole African continent there. You don't have to accept it. You don't. You can basically just go and find a better life. And in this life, we're going to be looking at an young African-American brother who did exactly that. And he took himself to Kenya and he found himself a young wife. He's got a kid, he's got a family, he's had businesses and all the rest of it. So he's had a few failures in terms of business. But you know what he's got? He's got peace of mind. He's not a second-class citizen any longer in the States. He's not in fear of his life in the States. And some people are going to say, well, how can you compare your life of African-American guys to what goes on in the UK? It's absolutely comparable because they're Western countries. It's as simple as that. And listen, if you found your little bit of El Dorado in the West, absolutely fine. More power to you. I salute you. Right, and all the rest of it. But far too many of us black men have not found anything remotely close to peace of mind, sense of fulfillment, let alone legacy living in the West. So the idea here really is to begin the whole channel is to begin to look around planet Earth as to where we as black men can find it. And I don't want you to wait until you're 56, which is my age, before you find it. I want you to find it at this age of this guy who's in this video, right? So, I mean, you can see him there. You can see him there sitting to that side of me, if I've got that right. Now, the video is on a young guy called, I think his channel is called Kid Greatness. Do go and check him out. I've actually tagged him. I've actually just figured out how to tag right in the title of this video. Do go and check out. He's got a brilliant YouTube channel. He's friends with Austin Holloman. He's a young guy, probably half my age. And you know what? Another thing is this, right? I'm so happy and I'm so glad that you've got young guys, right, that are basically finding themselves outside of the West. That is brilliant. And I've got to be honest, they are an inspiration, not only to young guys, but to guys my age as well. They're an inspiration as to what's available for black men in life, that you don't have to be a second-class citizen in the West, that you don't have to walk around miserable, that you don't have to walk around like a lone wolf, that you don't have to cower down to people that you know are beneath you, that you don't have to spend loads and loads of money and then be berated because you took a woman to a restaurant that she thinks is beneath her. You can just sidestep all of that, right? Pack up your qualifications, your professional qualifications and all the rest of it, and dig up. That's a phrase that we used to use. Dig up and go to another country. In this case, we're talking about Kenya, but you could do Zambia. On Saturday, I'm going to be doing a live about Zambia and about a young woman who's married, got kids out in Zambia. She's built a place and all the rest of it. That's going to be on Saturday, hopefully, if she's able to do that. But we're going to be looking at countries from all over the African continent. But look, let's get with this. Stay with me because it's an interview and the sound quality isn't great, but he's a great YouTuber called Kid Greatness. Do go and check out his channel and his little group of YouTubers. One of them is Austin Holloman. Do go and check all those guys out. Very, very interesting. But without further ado, I'm going to start this and be stopping it at regular interviews so we can actually discuss and pull apart what's being said. So fair use straight away, and let's do this. And subscribe to the channel, hit the bell.
Yeah, we're in Chinatown in Kilimani, and I'm here with a very, very interesting couple. They have a channel called US Meets Kenya. I'm gonna allow them to introduce themselves.
Right, they've got a YouTube channel, US Meets Kenya. I didn't catch that when I first listened to this, but do go and check it out. And before we even get going, this woman has got a smile and she's got real hair. Straight away. She's got a smile and real hair. Real hair, man. Not some long weave down to her navel. But anyway.
Starting with the lady first.
Hey guys, I'm Faith from Kenya.
Okay. And I'm Keith from USA.
Yeah, and this is our baby. She's
Serenity.
called Serenity.
Serenity.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's adorable. She's adorable. Okay, so, bro, where are you from in the States?
So I'm originally from Michigan, from Detroit, Michigan.
Okay.
And Detroit, for those that don't know, I've never been there, but I've seen them on the city on YouTube. I know it's on the way up slowly, and it's an art town. There's a lot of art going on in Detroit. I studied an art project I think called the Heidelberg Project years and years and years ago, started by a black guy. who basically made art out of abandoned buildings. So do go and check out the Heidelberg project. It's developed a lot over the years, but check it out. I'm sure it's in Detroit.
We are here. So, what first brought you to Kenya?
You know what? The first thing that brought me to Kenya was nature and the wildlife. You know, the zoology. You know, I wanted to come here to study. I wanted to come here to learn about the animals and everything like that. But I ended up changing directions, and I ended up just coming over here just for the culture, seeing the people and everything like that. So yeah, that was my reason.
Yeah,
and that's interesting. So that was his first reason for actually going to Africa. You know, for going to Kenya. It wasn't for the women. It wasn't for the nightlife. No, it was to see the country and learn his own personal growth and education. And honestly, great, more power to him, you know. And I love his reason for wanting to see the world and to see the African continent.
and then because this is a very interesting story. You met this beautiful young lady right here.
Yeah.
So, what part of Kenya are you from?
I'm originally from Bungoma, but when I met him, I was schooling in Mombasa.
Mombasa, for those that don't know, is I've heard people say that it's really a holiday destination for the most part. So there's loads of hotels and all the rest of it in Mombasa. I think, don't quote me, I think Mombasa is the second city after Nairobi in Kenya, but don't quote me, I might be wrong.
I think I met when I was in my first year in campus. Yeah.
First day on campus.
First year.
I think second year. Yeah.
Second year. Yeah, second year.
2021, right?
Yeah.
I think
Right,
second
they've
year.
been together 3 years.
Yeah, and then y'all was telling me an interesting story about how y'all met. Okay, so I'll let y'all pick who want to
She
describe
guys
it.
do that, tell the story, so I'm
Alright,
not gonna tell it.
you guys want to tell the story too?
She wants to tell the story too.
Yeah.
Alright, so I was online and I
Oh,
was like,
okay.
let me try matching Black American.
Yeah.
See how it goes. So when I saw his profile, I swiped back on him, and then he said hi, and then I was like, I don't feel like replying to him. So
Okay, so they met online. Right? I didn't catch that the first time I listened to this. All right, fair enough. So they met online. I wonder what. Anyway, right. So they met online. That's where they met. Right. So it'd be interesting to see whether. Well, it sounds like he was already in Kenya when they met online. Obviously, some sort of dating site. So anyway, there you go.
so
Yeah.
for 3 days I never said hi back to, and then he asked me, do you like Americans? And then I ignored him, and then he told me, can I have your number? And then I ignored him. So it was like almost a week.
So she played hard to get. Right.
Yeah.
And then I told him, yeah, you can have my Instagram. So after giving my Instagram, you were
Stop. I didn't know it was this. Why you did my man like that? I gotta.
all right, like
She do everybody like that. Everyone
I'm
does,
just
right?
a lazy jester.
Oh, yeah.
Naturally, I'm just a lazy jester.
Yeah.
So after we were talking on Instagram, we connected a little bit, and he told me he was gonna come from the US to Kenya.
Oh, she meant this.
Right. Oh, right. Okay, so he was actually still in the US. So basically, you know what? Why not, man? So he's lining himself up a Kenyan woman while he's in the US. So he's planning to go to Kenya, and he's lining himself up some lovely Kenyan natural smiley young baby. So he's probably planning to have a family in, and good for him. So he's clearly planning his move before he leaves the US. That's basically what he's doing, right? Well, that's the way it seems to me, right? This baby needs to grow some hair, man. Anyway, I'm not one to complain, so I'll shut up.
Yeah.
So he booked his flight, I think after 3 months of talking, he booked his flight.
Yep.
So y'all talked for 3 months.
Yep.
I sat there and ignored him for a couple of years. Yeah, y'all got it together.
Yeah, we got it together.
Yeah.
finally.
Yeah.
So his flight was arriving at 5 in the morning, right?
Uh-huh.
So I had to wake up
Oh,
at
wow.
4 in the morning just to go pick a man at the airport. So I got up at
So did you hear that, right? So number one, she's not met this guy. They've obviously been conversing on social media or on this dating website, or maybe by phone or whatever by that time, by WhatsApp or whatever. Did you hear that she knew that he was arriving at the airport at 5 o'clock? She said she got up at 4 o'clock to do what? To go and pick him up. She never met the guy. So she's decided to go and, get to the airport to pick a man up that she's never met at 4 o'clock in the morning. More than likely from where? Nairobi airport, I think it is. I think there's an airport in Nairobi.
4 in the morning. I got ready. I was at the airport by 4:30, and then his
Okay.
flight delayed. Imagine, and I was there with heels standing. So I was standing from 4:30 until 7 in the morning. That's when his
Wow.
flight landed. It delayed by 2
Wow.
hours. And then when I saw him, he looked like his pictures. He just clicked, and I liked him. How did you feel? For
Yeah, I thought like, okay, so I knew my flight was late, right?
Yeah.
So I figured that but she might not show up. She might. So okay, whatever.
Yeah.
So the flight was late with 2 hours, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when I saw you, I was so excited. I ran, I hugged you,
Mhm.
and then we booked an Uber. We went to check into your hotel. After checking in, I think I never went back to my house.
Yep, that was it.
What?
That's great.
What? So after checking out of the airport, she went to his, I assume wherever he was staying. Did you hear what she said? She never went home after that. Wow. Anyway, look, I've skim watched this. I've not watched it in any detail, right? So, but anyway.
Checked into the hotel. I never went back to my place. Like
Mhm.
that's just it. That's how we moved in. And it's been like almost 3 years now. Like,
3 years.
3 years together.
Yeah.
We have a
3
child.
years. Wow.
After just taking the hotel, we were like, we want to get to know each other more. So we're just spending each time knowing each other. And then I told him, oh, maybe we should get an apartment together.
Oh wow! Wait, so wait, how long? So it's okay. Yeah.
So 3 years since the time he stepped off the aeroplane, she hasn't let him out of her sight. That's the truth of the matter. She's not let him out of her sight. It's as simple as that, because she wasn't going to let this man that she's been investing her time into on the phone come to Kenya and any other Kenyan woman basically have a go at him. That's the bottom line. And you know, the truth is, I don't know how tall this man is. He might be 6 foot plus. I don't know. But let's be honest, he's of average looks. The guy's of average looks. You know, but she's of average looks as well. She is. But she's smiling. She's got real hair. But you know what? He's got what he wants. He's got something called a family with a, well, you're going to see a woman who's a traditional woman. He's got a family with a woman with real hair who smiles, right? And you're going to see that she's traditional, and he's got a family. So he's planned this and he's got it in 3 years. That isn't bad. That's not bad. That's if you want it. I mean, don't get me wrong. Kid greatness. I don't think he's married yet and he's living his best life being a single guy in Kenya. More power to him. He's young. But this other young brother next to him, they're probably around about the same kind of age. He wanted a family. Kid greatness doesn't. Listen, do you. Right? But anyway, let's carry on with this.
I never left. So like, how long did it take for y'all to like get an apartment together?
Oh, it's
Like
quick.
3 days.
Yeah, because I was already. Right,
3 days.
After we checked into the hotel, I was like, this is the guy. And he was like, this is the girl I'm looking
So this was like love at first sight. Like I was just
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like, so ever since we met, we have not been apart.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
every day we're
Yeah.
together.
It's kind. I don't like that though. It's kind of corny. Love that both sides. I don't like that. But it's.
I think that's the definition of it. Like,
it's gotta be right.
I mean, I'll be honest. I've never met a girl and I just stayed with her for the next 3 years. Like that's some love right there.
So
Like,
it's like matching someone online, you meet, and then you just stay together like that from the first date. So I just went to my place, I picked my bags, then went to look for an apartment in Mombasa. We furnished our house, then we moved in like that.
Right.
So and he was like, oh, I'm not going back to my country, no? And when he was staying there,
so yeah.
Honestly, right? You know, me and my wife, we've been to Ghana 3 times, right? And every time we've been, honestly, Ghana's different to Kenya from what I can see. I've never been to Kenya, but I can see it's the people are slightly different. Each time we've been to Ghana, I have never ever wanted to leave and come back to the UK. And you know, and again, I'm going to keep saying this: if UK is your bag, more power to you. This isn't. I'm not knocking the UK per se. All I'm saying is Ghana. Immediately, as soon as I got off the plane, I did tell my wife, Ghana felt like home straight away. Honestly, it felt to me just like Jamaica. It felt exactly the same. Going out into the countryside in Ghana, I just thought, I've only been in Jamaica once. I've only been there once, right? But I just thought, wow, this feels familiar. It just felt familiar literally straight away, which was, I just found it strange, honestly. I found it strange. And I mean, obviously it makes sense because the DNA in Jamaica, and I've said this a few times on my channel, the DNA is more or less Nigerian Ghanaian, with some DNA from Sierra Leone, from Togo, from the surrounding countries from that area, from the Gambia, and from Burkina Faso, which is where my DNA comes from. But the people in Burkina Faso are the same people as they are, and they speak Tree. That, you know, it's the same people in Ghana anyway. So it's strangely familiar. I just found it really odd how familiar it was to be in Ghana. But anyway, and it's good for your mental health, man. That's the, you know, I don't think, and I'm gonna keep stressing this on this channel, right? It's good, guys, to be in a country that's good for your mental health, good for your mental state of mind, where you can go somewhere as a black man and breathe. And just breathe, just literally just go, you know, if you can be anywhere, and it, for you, it might be the West, it might be a Western country, it might be your condominium somewhere in the States, or it might be your house in Chelsea in the UK, some part of London, or wherever you live in Birmingham in the UK, or whatever. Wherever you can breathe, that's where you need to be. Yeah, that is where you need to be, man. But for me, it was Ghana. I'm guessing that there's other African countries where I can breathe as well, because I've only been to Egypt, Morocco, and Ghana. I've not been to any other African country. So I do plan on going to Nigeria. I do plan on definitely going to Burkina Faso. I do plan on going to Kenya. I do plan on going to Zambia. You know, Botswana, the economy there apparently is brilliant. I do plan on going to Rwanda. I do plan on traveling the whole of the African continent. For capoeira, I want to go and see the birthplace, which is Angola. I do plan on traveling around, but, you know, anyway.
He was telling me about you surprised him by doing certain things.
Yeah, so when he was here, after we moved in, he saw like I'm doing laundry. Mostly I prefer washing with my hands.
Did you hear that? She blew his socks off, not from sex. She blew his socks off because she was doing something called laundry. She blew his socks off because he was doing something called laundry. So she was doing something called laundry. If you're a woman and you're good, actually, no, forget all that. Anyway, he was surprised from the fact that this woman that he had only just met was doing laundry, just of her own accord. He didn't have to browbeat her.
And then I go hang out on the rooftop on the sun. I'm cleaning the house, I'm cooking, I go to the market to get food. And he was like, wow, in America, women rarely do that. So he was like, Did you hear that? Then she took herself down the market to go and buy something called food. Took herself to go and buy food. Yeah. Again, blew his socks off.
So he was blown away. So he was like, she cooked, she cleaned. So you wasn't used to that, bro.
That's not something that we see so often in the US, right? A lot of the women.
Again, thank God, and I thank God, right, that my wife doesn't see it as slavery to do those things either. She doesn't see it as slavery. She doesn't, right, to cook. And she's a brilliant cook. My mum was a brilliant cook as well, actually. She did that for a living. But my wife is a brilliant cook. She doesn't see it as in fact, that's a part of her profession. She's a nutritionist, so I suppose cooking is related to that, obviously. But to find that is rare, guys, and to find a woman who does that with a smile and wants to do it.
Men are not cooking and cleaning for you. A lot of women are doing your clothes for you. You know, all that stuff. You know, so it's a different type of relationship when you come to Africa with women usually. But it happens in America, but not so much, not so often. So.
And that's exactly the same as it is in the UK, right? It happens here too, but not so much. Right? And that's the truth.
Yeah.
So,
and again, this isn't about me. I'm not really, I mean, obviously we're going to compare because obviously, you know, he's a brother that's come from a Western country, in his case, the States. And obviously he's going to make the comparison with what he's got to where he's come from. And, you know, that is natural. That's not necessarily browbeating the women in the States. That's simply saying there's a difference. And the difference is a cultural difference. It's an environmental difference. As BGS says, it's environment, right? It's culture, and that's fine. That's not a knock. That's just observable reality. That's just the truth. So, again, take your pick. If you don't want what this young brother's got, you don't have to have it. You don't need to have it. But that's what this channel is about. Okay.
Getting the first apartment, we decided to switch houses. We tried doing like a restaurant business. You remember?
Yeah. Oh, y'all in a business?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's take a step back. Okay, so bro, y'all met, fell in love.
Yeah.
You said I'm not going back to the States. So, how did you stay here the first couple of months? Was you working remotely, or you doing like how was you?
Yeah. So I decided to do teaching. So I've been teaching online for the first since I've been here. I've been teaching online. So yeah.
Oh, so you already had your degree in education. So you just you found a gig online.
Yeah, and I recommend that. For people to find some work online and then come to Africa, like have some income coming in before you come here. It's better that way, or at least save some money.
Yeah, because actually one of my
again, that's fundamental. So basically, online working, some people might call it being a digital nomad, being able to do something online. In this guy's case, I'm assuming he's a qualified teacher. I don't know what subject he taught online, maybe English. I really don't know. There's a million things you can do online, right? There's a million different things you can do online, This guy's obviously teaching online, making money that way. A lot of people do. So, but work it out before you, in my opinion, you've got to have all of your ducks in a row before you leave the West. Know what you're going to do. I wouldn't advise you leave the West and then go to Kenya or anywhere else on planet Earth and then try to figure out how you're going to earn money. You can do that if you've got a load of money saved up, but your money's going to deplete quite quickly. So I think you've got to organize all that before you leave. But that's just my thing. That's what I think.
My boys was doing that. One of my boys. Yeah, actually, a mutual friend of us. He finally got a mutual friend. He was doing that.
Yep.
So you recommend teaching online because is it hard to find a job teaching online? Or like, how was the experience for you? I'm curious about that.
It was easy. It was easy to find a job teaching online. As long as you have
qualified
experience or a degree, you can find one pretty easy. There's so many English teaching jobs available. So yeah, it's real simple.
And do you feel as though you need a degree or can you just do it like with the tech?
You don't need to have a degree, but it's better to have one. So at least associate's degree. You can find a job real fast, but you don't need one though. You can still find work without a degree. It's possible.
That's dope. Yeah, that's a gem right there.
Yeah.
Because a lot of brothers always asking me personally. I get so many DMs about like, how can I live overseas? What can I do? So like, check out teaching online, Because this is like the third brother I met that teach online to sustain himself. So it's very working. Well, yeah, but you're talking about.
It'd be good to know how much teachers get paid online. I'm going to make an assumption. It depends on the subject. But yes, it's definitely worthwhile checking out. That's a note. If you're going to be watching this on the replay, then definitely put that down in your notepad. Teaching online, probably better if you've got a qualification in it. But yeah, languages. I mean, I wish I spoke another language. I'm rubbish at languages. Me and the wife have been trying to learn tree for ages. I think we got to revisit our tree lessons. We've got them all. We bought the whole course, so we've got all of the lessons somewhere online somewhere. We bought them so we can go back and do them. But anyway.
Oh, y'all was in Mombasa. Wait, y'all met in Mombasa or did y'all meet in Nairobi?
Mombasa.
Y'all met in Mombasa. Okay, so y'all met in Mombasa. Y'all fell in love. Then y'all said y'all was opening a restaurant.
Yeah.
So what happened there?
I'll tell it first and you can go.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we opened the restaurant. So my cousin also lives here. I have a cousin. He lives in Mombasa.
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to get my family to move out here, bro.
Right. So we opened the restaurant together, and it was.
Not sure it's a good idea to do business with family, but anyway, it's called living and learning.
Fine. It was good at first, but then it became stressful, right, and hard to travel. Because I wanted to travel to other countries, but you kind of had to stay at the restaurant to supervise, and we were trying to get the restaurant to get out of that. We were trying to get out of the supervisor role, right? But we never were able to get it out. We never were able to do that. So, unfortunately, the restaurant didn't do so well at the end. But it was a good experience. I think it was a fun experience that we were able to do that.
Hold on, let's take a step back. So, what was the process of opening a business in Kenya?
Listen, I've got to say, right. Again, my mum was a school cook, not a chef, cook. The word cook in the UK is one level below chef. This is just what I learned the other day. Chefs design the menu, cooks cook the menu, if that makes sense. You got some high level cooks that can design the menu as well, but generally speaking, a cook basically cooks what the chef has designed, generally speaking. But the restaurant business, listen, it's a tough business in any country. It's hard. There's a lot of competition, right? And to open up a restaurant in another country, you've got to know what people want. Is it a tourist area? Do you expect the locals to eat it? Can you cook yourself? So you've got to have, some chefing, cooking skills plus management skills, right? And are you going to rent the premises or are you going to buy the premises? It's tough. But opening up a restaurant in any country is hard, let alone in a foreign country. So, but you know what? Why not try it? You can try it.
A lot of people are going to be interested in like you have to go to like get a lawyer and register something, or was it like you can kind of freestyle it until you make a little money, then you go register? Like, how was that process?
Yeah.
Okay, so opening a business in Kenya, if you're a foreigner, you have to get the business permit first. So it's a lot of money.
Okay, so how much is the business?
How much is that?
I think it's like 200,000 Kenyan shillings a year.
It's a lot.
Oh, 200.
200,000 Kenyan shillings. I think she said 200,000.
200,000. That's about like 1,000 something. Like
$500.
$1,500.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so 1,500 USD. That's about, I think that's about 1150 pounds, 1,150 pounds, which is doable in the UK. I mean, you can do that.
If you're not a local, you can use a Kenyan and just open it and pay like only 4,000 a year. So for him,
Wait, 4,000.
yeah, we're paying the business permit.
All right, so it's a different rate for, I think what she's saying is that a business permit for foreigners, foreign nationals, is a different rate to what it is to Kenyan nationals. So she's saying you can use a Kenyan national to buy the permit, but then you've always got that person in your business. Right?
Oh, sure. Because you was a local.
Yeah, so he registered the business in my name.
Right.
Nah, I'm not saying it, but like, yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So if you have a local, you're gonna use a local Kenyan to pay 4,000 a year.
Right.
So you just registered the business in my name, then you're running the restaurant like that. So you have to have someone you trust. Don't need to just anyone.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you. So okay, so y'all registered.
And this is what I say. Listen, as far as I'm concerned, right, trust no one. Maybe because I grew up on a council estate in London, in South London, right? My view is trust no one. Trust no one. Trust no one. That doesn't mean you shouldn't make acquaintances and, after a long time, make friends, let people earn their way into your inner circle. But generally speaking, as a rule of thumb, trust no one, especially when you're in another country, even in your own country, trust no one,
To the business. Yeah. Then like with the property I found to run the restaurant, did you have to do like month to month or was it like a yearly lease? How did that process work?
Yeah, it was a month to month. We were paying a month to month, but unfortunately the profits weren't exceeding the month to month figure that we were paying.
Yeah.
So that was the issue with the business. So,
Yeah. Okay. You don't have to give exact figures because I like giving so people have ideas because I get these questions a lot. So okay. So what would you estimate like your expenses? Like just give us around like a range for like every month, like just the rent, the food costs, all that.
Interesting.
So I was the one in charge of the finances most of the time, like buying the food, restocking. So every month the restaurant costed us $200 a month, which was 30,000 Kenyan shillings, just the rent for the place.
Oh, so that's not bad.
Yeah.
And then our workers, we were paying the workers $4 a day.
Wait. Okay, how many? You get crazy. No, I got slowed down. I got ripped up. So you're paying your workers $4. How many employees did y'all have? Like
We had like 5, 6.
5, 6.
And
So
so
basically,
$4 for the whole day, and they're working from
So-
5 in the morning to midnight.
No, not that.
wow.
No, we picked them. It was like 5 in the morning, like midday, like 3, 4, 5, 6, or something like that.
Yeah.
So y'all
But then-
spending like $20 to $24.
So the workers were cheap, and that as an overhead was cheap. It'd be interesting to know how much the food cost, because obviously, that's really what it's all about, and also whether or not the workers were good, conscientious workers. Yeah, there's no point just getting cheap workers just because they're cheap.
on employees,
If
$200 a day,
Yeah.
and then y'all spending $200 on rent.
Yeah, and then on buying food, depends what you're buying because in Kenya everything is expensive now.
Yeah.
You will spend like maybe $100 for the whole week.
Right.
Making
Okay.
profit is very
Wow.
hard. And then the electricity was costing us maybe $30 for the whole week. For the electricity bill, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, roundabout math, like, so y'all expense was between like 1,000 US to like 1,500 US a month running a business. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, because like if you just do the math with the employees and everything,
So you've got to be.
that's actually not bad. So
then you can work backwards and work out how many covers, how many tables you're going to need, how much money you're going to need to make per month, basically, yeah, to cover it. And then that depends whether or not your food's any good. You've got the right menu, you've got the right chef, you've got the right waiters, waitresses. You know, whether or not people, you're in the right place, your location. Whether or not people actually like your food, basically. What's your USP? What's your unique selling point? You know?
Yeah.
that means you can actually come to like, but that's Mombasa.
Yeah.
You could come to Mombasa like 20 G's, 30 G's and open a business.
Yeah.
Y'all think that's reasonable?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, you can open $20,000.
Yeah, 20,000.
That's a lot. We spent less than that opening our business.
Yeah.
Like furnishing the restaurant.
I'm gonna sort of scrub forward a little bit, see if there's anything else. It's really just the start of this that I wanted really just to talk about, and then I was gonna say bye. But let's see if there's anything else here worth listening to.
Checking for
To replace them, like what?
Okay.
But before that, it was like every week.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Because like because that's kind of like.
I'm just gonna scrub forward, yeah.
Let me say this. I think it's because people in Mombasa had like the hustler mentality.
So they knew we are too nice. And then some of the employees were stealing food from our restaurant. So that's another problem. We once found an employee has packed food like 1,000 shillings.
It's all about getting the right people to work in the business, guys.
Land for like a year. Like they give you land for like a year, and then you'll pay like 10,000 Kenyan shillings
per acre.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So he was stealing our electricity with that as well. So
I'm not even gonna bother going.
Okay.
Like what I do wrong?
For that, because you just brought up a good point.
Yeah.
Because you lived in Tanzania, you lived in Kenya.
Yeah.
So how has been your experience being an American? Like, how do people treat you? Because like I have.
Okay, this is worth.
So I'm curious about your experience. You've been there longer than me, actually.
Yeah. You know what? It's good and bad. Sometimes you get the scamming, like you said, something like that. People expect money from you, but then sometimes.
I just want to say this as well, very quickly, right? Listen, guys, I've been seeing some videos of mainly women, mainly African American women, one or two British women as well, that have gone to the African continent and complain about being scammed, about how they're treated, and all the rest of that. There's a couple of things I want to say about that. Number one, right? People are people wherever you go, and people are always on the make. People are always on the make, no matter where you go, especially if you go to a country that's that's poor, right? Or where the people are poor or poorer than you. Not all the time, but a lot of people are going to be on the make. They're going to be on the make, and they're going to be looking at you as a meal ticket. Just expect it. Just expect it. Expect it and act accordingly. All you got to do is safeguard yourself, right? So where you're going is not where you're coming from. If you're born and brought up in the West, where you're going to may or may not have the kind of amenities that you're used to in terms of where you're coming from. And if that's what you're looking for, then the African continent and other places, Asia, India, other places, South America, maybe at least parts of South America, is not gonna be for you. Stay in your part of the West. I've seen not a lot, but quite a few women complaining about how they've been treated on the African continent and elsewhere. So what I would simply say is stay where you are. It is that simple. Stay where you are. Just stay where you are. Stay where you are. Just say, this ain't for me. Go back home. Or is it home? Go back to where you were born. Let's just go back there and live whatever life you had before. It's literally that simple. But understand this, right? Obviously, I think it's obvious anyway. You're going to have to safeguard yourself, safeguard your wallet, just safeguard yourself. Just be wise with who you interact with and who you let into your inner circle when you go to another country. And basically treat people with respect. It's as simple as that. That's what you got to do. So to me, all of that goes without saying is kind of common sense, but maybe it's not for everybody. Maybe that kind of common sense doesn't circulate.
People are like really nice to you, especially in Kenya. People are super friendly to you. Everybody wants to talk to you. It's so easy to make friends here, for sure.
Yeah.
So it just kind of depends on the individual, So there's good and you got your bad. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, but yeah, let's go a little deeper. Let's go there.
All right.
Because you said like, did you ever get that experience? Because like I know in Tanzania, once people found out I was American, it was always like, okay, yeah, everything's on him. Like, like whatever. Like, people just it was. I'm not gonna like I don't want to influence you, but like, did you get that experience? Like, when people found out you're American, it's like, okay, yeah, he got everything. We don't have to worry about nothing no more.
You know what? What I was most surprised was when we first got there, we were getting ripped off and cheated from the motor drivers, right? The motorcycle drivers.
Really? But you speak Swahili though.
Yeah, so this is what I'm gonna say. Wait 1 second. That was the problem because I was like, she's Kenyan and she's getting cheated. I understand me. I understand you understand me. But Kenya too. Right.
Oh yeah. They kind of get that because But even if you go to them like and you speak Swahili, I mean, but y'all Swahili is different than that same.
Yeah.
You couldn't even get away with it. Like they still just like, oh nah.
I'm going to say this as well. Going back to what I was saying about languages, right? It's really important to learn, and I'm talking to myself as well and my wife. It's really important to learn the language of the country where you intend to go. It's important to learn the language. So that's got to be priority number one, really. Just learn the language. People are going to try and rip you off anyway, but at least you'll be able to understand them while they're trying to rip you off. Yeah. So, but yeah, learn the language. In this case, in Kenya, it's Swahili. Yeah.
They say Kenyans are richer than us, so like you were asking someone to plant grass for us, which is
and just the other thing of what he said about as soon as they learned that he was American, then all of a sudden the bill's on him. The bill's on you only if you allow it, right? People treat you the way that you allow them to treat you. If they know that you're not going to go for it, then they won't do it. And it also, if you don't allow people to position themselves around you, then it's obviously not going to happen. Yeah, you don't have to be anybody's fool. You haven't come from the States or the UK where certain people see you as a meal ticket, right? See you as a steak daddy, right? You haven't come from your part of the West where you're taken for a ride on dinner dates to go somewhere else to be taken for a ride for dinner. Right? No, that's a choice.
And you pay someone like 500 shillings to do it, but the guy in Tanzania is asking us for like 40,000 Kenyan shillings.
Wait, what?
Yeah, $300.
That's crazy.
He told us for me to help you plant grass in your house, you have to give me $300. And then I told him in Kenya, I'll only pay someone $3 per hour.
With a man like that, all you do is just tell him to jog on. Literally just say jog quick in any direction you want to jog.
Yeah, so it's great. The scamming is crazy in Tanzania. Like that's where we experienced most of the scams. It actually was in Tanzania, right?
So okay, but I'm pretty sure you haven't experienced that here because you have a kid.
Yeah, not so much.
Okay, what about when you're by yourself? When you're not. How do you people treat you when you're by yourself?
You know what? I think maybe people can try to scam you, right? Yeah. But I know the prices, and I know how much something should be.
Yeah.
So if someone tries, I learned from her. If someone's saying 500, I know it's 200. I'm say, okay, I'm gonna give you 200, or no, I'm just gonna walk away.
No, you're not even gonna give 200. Listen, no, you give them 150. I'm going to be honest, right? I love bartering. When I go to another country, I love to barter. I love it. If I know that the local price is 200 or whatever the hell it is, no, I'm going to see if I can get it for 120. It's mindset, man. If you know the local price is 200, and if they know you're a foreigner, and you as a foreigner can get it for 150, 250, whatever it's meant to be. If you as a foreigner can get it for less than the local price, then you're a don. You got to barter. Everywhere you go, you got to barter. I'm going to be really honest. I look for the cheapest price. I'm not cheap. At least I don't think I'm cheap. I just look. Rich people don't get rich by paying over the odds. And who said that to me? I heard rich person on somewhere on some program I was watching. So they said you don't get rich by paying over the odds. No one who's rich gets. It's something to do with property, right? No one that what was the man's? He said something like, no one who's rich gets rich by paying more than what they're meant to pay. They look for deals. That is how rich people get rich. They look for deals and opportunities. And, you know, from the smallest opportunity to the biggest one, it's mindset, right? You know, wherever you are, right, you're trying to get the best and the most out of every situation, from the smallest situation to the biggest one. It's mindset. And if it's not going to work in your favor, you walk away. That is what you do. And if you do that with everything, trust me, you will be fine. So no, I love bartering. I love going to another country and bartering. I love it. I'll do it all day. I literally do it all day. I do it with a cabbie. I do it when I'm buying an ice cream, gluten-free, lactose-free ice cream. I do it everywhere. I'll do it everywhere. Even if I know what the thing costs, I don't care. I'll do it anyway. Ask my wife. I don't give a monkeys, honestly.
And then they're like, no, okay.
Yeah.
I'll give you 200. I'll give you 200.
Yeah, that's kind of it's been an experience too. Like, so because I was saying, like, because you've been here for a while, I ran into the same thing. Like, like they overcharge me all the time, especially like. I don't know, because I feel like people always feel like I'm some type of artist or something. Like
rapper or something.
Yeah, rapper or singer. So I feel like it doesn't help me. Maybe if I had to struggle. Do you get that too? I'm curious.
The red lights?
Yeah. You get that, you get the roster, like all the time. Roster.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, I had a bad experience one time, you know, with the police.
Before he goes on with that, what did everywhere I go, at least when we was in Jamaica, even before that, but some other countries that I've been to, as soon as they know that, you know, they'll ask me, where are you from? And I say the UK, and then say, no, where are you from? Where does your family come from? And as soon as I say Jamaica, then it's all Bob Marley, Bob Marley, Rasta. Do I look. You know, but it's what people know of a country. You know, what people know of Jamaica is Bob Marley, reggae music, and pretty much that's it. Oh yeah, and weed, right? And what they don't understand is that most people in Jamaica don't smoke weed, right? Most people in Jamaica go to church, right? As well, I don't know about now, but used to, right? So, but it's people's perception of a place. Just like the UK, I suppose people must think everybody in the UK eats fish and chips or pie and mash, right? Which is not true, I think, right? And, you know, people in Italy, all they do is eat spaghetti bolognese, which I'm sure is not true, right? You know, and so on and so on and so forth. But these are perceptions. So if you're going to walk around with locks, they're going to assume straight away, I suppose, or they may ask, are you, you know, do you come from Jamaica, until they hear possibly his accent, or maybe, I don't know. But if you got locks, you're a Rasta. Most people with locks are not Rasta. It's as simple as that. They just like locks. It's fashion.
Okay, so, you know, I was riding my bike, and the officers pulled me over, and I came over, and it's because I had dreadlocks, I think, you know, and they're asking me, you know, do you have, let me check your fanny pack. I was and I'm asking them, you know, I'm being aggressive, which you shouldn't do. And I'm like, why do you want to look at my fanny pack for? You know, and I'm like refusing at first, but then I do.
My granddad, my mom used to tell me that in Jamaica, Rastafari used to basically be harassed by the police when she was a kid. They were just harassed because of the perception of Rasta, not the reality, the perception. Rastafari, to my knowledge, are the most healthy, clean people on planet Earth. They eat the best food, definitely in the Caribbean, right? You know, their diet is the best Ito food, which is, you know, homegrown vegetarian food. You can't get better than that. It's very difficult to get better than what they eat, you know? Let's be honest, regular Caribbean people eat what a friend of mine used to call heart attack food.
And you're just they're checking for weed. They're trying to check to see if you have weed on you.
Yeah,
you know. So I think there's some stereotype with that, right?
Also, at the village market, the guy came to ask you, are you buying weed?
Oh, that's right. That just happened. Yeah, I forgot about that one.
Well, someone came up to him.
So a guy just came up to me and asked me. Everybody said that. He just came to me saying, "You buy some weed?" I'm going to be really honest,
right? that's another reason. That's another thing about the UK. And I was actually talking about it the other day. I went on a training course and I actually said that to a room full of about 50 or 60 people, that when we were, the amount of times going out in the UK, not recently, but definitely up into my late 20s, we'd be going out and would have, just got to be honest with you, we'd have a lot of white people coming up to me and my friends asking us if we sold weed or if we wanted to buy it. You know, asking us if we sold it or if we wanted to buy it. It's actually quite common. And I remember one time I think we were somewhere in Brighton or in a bar somewhere anyway. And some white girl came up to us and asked us if we were selling weed. So we said yes. And then we picked up some old cigarette, true story, picked up some cigarette butts off the floor, put it in a little bit of paper, offered to sell it to her. She was going to give us £10 for just some rubbish that we found on the floor. And then we had to tell her that we just messing around. We just found some cigarettes on the floor, and she took out her money to give it to us. So it's a common occurrence, man. And honestly, I'm going to be that's funny, but on a serious note, actually, that kind of if that happens to you a lot, if people see you as nothing more than a drug seller, that kind of chips away at your mental health. I don't want people coming up to my son asking if he sells weed just because he's dark skinned and he's tall. That kind of chips away at your mental health. And it's something that I've remembered for nearly 30 years. So do you want that? I'm talking to the guys now. Do you want that for your son, that he's going to have people coming up to him at university when he goes off to university asking your son, has he got any weed? Do you want that for your son? Do you want that for your son? It's another reason to leave and sod off to another country, man. In my opinion.
You don't understand how much I get even though I'm in the States, random people always come up to me like, yo, street. I'm like, what do I look like? I always see weed. Like,
dreadlocks, you know?
I don't got dreads. Like, get dreads.
Yeah.
Okay, so but you never got the he was a singer thing.
I did. I got from Rwanda. Someone said I was like a singer from Rwanda.
Anyway, beside the point. Right?
Or just something that you want the world to know. Like, I mean, I guess you could go first because she's been doing
Okay, I'll go first. Okay. Yeah. I think that it's safe. A lot of people think that it's unsafe to come to Kenya or Africa.
Amen.
Yeah.
I think that it's safe to come here, and you should come here and experience different culture, different life, and just have fun. Kenya is a fun place to come to, and a good place to invest in too. So I highly recommend you do that. Black Americans, anyone, come here.
I think Kenya is a great place. When you locate here, you won't have language barrier. Everybody can speak English. As you can see, you can talk very good English. Everybody in Kenya speaks English. You will not have a hard time. It's safe. It's developed. Things are quick. When you order things online, they deliver to you ASAP. Not like Tanzania, you wait for 1 hour.
Oh wow! You think
Kenya things are quick. This is the place to be.
She's not a fan of Tanzania. I still love you.
I like Tanzania too. It's okay.
Hey, you're my first love. You always my first love. Okay, so yeah,
brother comes
I
from
appreciate y'all guys
Tanzania.
taking the time. Serenity, she's calmed down. Yeah, we bored her to sleep.
Right, okay, that's all about that, right? So, okay, so let me just let's drop this thing down. Let's get rid of that. If I can, yeah, there you go. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's really all I really wanted to show you, right? Basically, that brother who left the USA, planned his way out as a young guy, obviously was talking to this young lady online. She came to pick him up at the airport, right? She waited in the rain or whatever at the airport, picked him up. They went back to his hotel by what she said, and she never left. Right? I don't know if they're married or not. They didn't say they were married unless they said it and I didn't hear. Yeah, I mean, they've been together for 3 years. They got a kid. They tried the business out. It didn't work, but he's been earning his money online. And you know what? She's got a real hair. They've got a baby. She's smiled her way through that interview. She's basically a traditional young woman. He's happy. He's an average guy. Good luck to him. That's all I've got to say. Good luck to him. Adang B, listen, thank you for joining us. Let me quickly read out your comments. Then I'm going to get out of here. I'll read backwards. Dreadlocks in West Africa are associated with witch doctors. I did not know that. Rasta, more dreadlocks in Georgia and South Carolina than in Jamaica. Probably, probably. Rich people also buy things on sale. Absolutely, that's how they stay rich. Listen, you don't stay rich by buying products that depreciate in value. That's not how it's done. All right. The Lord probably didn't lead them to go and live in Africa anyhow. I'm not sure what that was in reference to. Many people who visit Africa and see scamming, bad behavior, have a hard time understanding that Africans are simply humans too. That's right. I totally agree. It's when you put as somebody living in what white people call the diaspora, it's when you put Africa on a pedestal. When you go there, then you could be, you basically, it's a letdown. Because you see that they are regular, normal people, just like you, trying to get by and earn a living. You know, it's as simple as that. You know, it is as simple as that. And you also see that actually it's a hell of a lot more different. Go and check the videos on my channel of Kenya, of Ghana, right? Africa is a lot more developed than what we see on Western television. You know, television in the UK, I know for a fact television in the States and other European countries do not show African cities. They simply don't show it. They don't show it. You're never going to see an African city as it is on mainstream European or American television. They're never, ever going to show it. But anyway, what other comments here? I wonder how many of the experiences, issues of black folks in Britain are due to them living in major cities versus due to them living in a European country. Okay. Danby also writes, in the US, there are different levels of operation in businesses. To use restaurants as an example, owner, head chef or investor, manager, chef, technician, sous chef or cook. Yeah. There's a reason they created the cartoons Madagascar. They're telling us what they think about people of African descent. Absolutely. Madagascar is a whole other world, different flora, fauna, and ethnic mix. Forests in their deserts. Okay, yep. Men just don't want to talk about. Sorry, men just don't want talk back from women. We don't need opposition leaders in the household. Absolutely, absolutely. Why would any man want that? Burkina, they speak God, what is, oh yes, Sahelian languages. Absolutely, yes. They also speak Tree. They also speak Tree on the border of Ghana and Burkina Faso. They speak Tree. It's the same people, because you got to remember, when the Europeans came to the African continent, they literally just put a line straight through really one set of people's land. So the same people live in Ghana on the border as they do in Togo, as they do in Burkina Faso. It's one group of people. Yeah. But anyway, guys, thank you for joining us. This was always going to be a short one. It was always going to be an hour. As I said at the very beginning of this stream, I am going to be streaming again on Saturday, hopefully, if my guest is well. She was actually unwell last Saturday, right? She was actually unwell, but I'm going to be doing a stream about Zambia. All right, so hopefully my guest is going to be there with her husband. Either way, she may be there on her own. It's a couple that moved to Zambia and bought land, built their own house. So we're going to use that as a springboard to start talking about Zambia. So guys, it's been great. It's been good as usual. If you're new to this channel, definitely subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. Guys, I will join you on Saturday. Don't forget and don't be late. We're going to be streaming around about 8 o'clock UK time. So thank you for joining us. Do check out Kid Greatness's channel, brilliant channel, and he's done some really good lives with Austin Holloman as well. And on Kid Greatness's channel, he's done a really great stream where he's walked around with an amazing looking young Kenyan lady, right, in the poorer, rougher bits of I think Nairobi as well. All right, so do go and check out his channel. Guys, I'll see you on Saturday. Take care.